This is the elevator bringing Oswald out to go to the armored car where he was to be transported to the county jail about 2 miles across town. Police Captain Will Fritz preceding. There's Oswald in the black sweater. Now Oswald coming out. You'll see the shooting occur very shortly. There comes the man from the right. Watch him. He walks up. He fires the gun. Oswald slumps to the floor. And then, of course, complete delirium and pandemonium breaks out. Cameramen and all getting pushed, shoved aside as the police immediately rushed to Jack Ruby, also rushed to Lee Oswald, trying to get aid for him and apprehending Jack Ruby, a man who owns a Dallas bar and who has just a while ago admitted to shooting Lee Harvey Oswald and resulting in his death. These scenes taken in the basement of Dallas City Hall, the Dallas Police Department, showing Jack Ruby approaching and firing point blank into Lee Harvey Oswald, the man accused of assassinating President John F. Kennedy here in Dallas Friday.
5.5 hours ago, a shot echoed through these halls, and one of the men closest to the point where the shot was fired is this man. He is a detective, Detective L.C. Graves. Could you tell us what happened and what you were doing at the time?
Well, about 11:15 this morning, in an attempt to transfer Oswald to the county jail, we got as far as the basement of the city hall, and a man lunged out of the crowd and fired one shot into his stomach.
Now, what were you doing? Were you escorting him?
Yes, I was helping to escort him at that time.
Were you holding on to his arm?
Yes, I had a hold of his left arm.
Now, there was another detective. He was handcuffed to Oswald?
Yes, Detective Leavelle was handcuffed to him with his left arm to Oswald's right arm.
When the man came out of the crowd and the shot was fired, what did you do?
Well, I grabbed his arm and took the pistol away from him.
Were there any screams?
I didn't hear any screams at that time.
The man, did he appear so quickly that preventive action could not have been taken?
Yes, he did. He was only a few feet. We were only a few feet from the newsmen that were right in front of us, and it was quite a large line of them, and he just lunged out of the line of men right into us.
Thank you very much, sir. It was Detective L.C. Graves, one of the men who was with Oswald when he was shot. This is Bill Lord reporting from Dallas City Hall. This is Detective Jim Leavelle, who was this morning handcuffed to Oswald and was bringing him out to the car to be transferred to the county jail. Could you tell us what happened?
We were proceeding with the prisoner as scheduled from the jail office out to the ramp where the automobile was waiting. And as we reached the area where the car was parked, the men from the crowd emerged, and there was 100 or more newspapermen and cameramen in the area, and it was almost a solid wall of flesh in front of us and to our left, composed of the news media. When we came through the door with Oswald, they began taking their pictures, and in the issuing time that they were snapping pictures and talking, I saw this man come from the crowd, and at the time he emerged from this crowd of people, he was not more than 6 or 7 feet from me. And I dare say that had I known that he was going to be there, the swiftness with which it happened, I doubt if anyone could have prevented it.
Did you see the gun in his hand as he came?
I saw the gun in his hand as he emerged from the crowd. But being such a short distance from me, I had no time to say anything. I did jerk Oswald to try to drag him behind me.
Now, you were handcuffed to him?
I was handcuffed to him and also had a hold of the waistband of his trousers. I tried to jerk him behind me, but he had, and I reached up and caught a hold of Jack Ruby's shoulder, left shoulder, and shoved back on him. At the same time pulling on Oswald. But he had this .38 snub-nose pistol, and all he had to do was pull the trigger. It was a double-action gun, and therefore it only took, the whole episode only took a matter of a second to take place.
Now, when Oswald fell to the ground, was he unconscious at that point?
I would say if he was not, he was nearly so. Just as soon as my partner on the other side, Mr. Graves, grabbed Jack's hand with the gun in such a manner that he couldn't fire it anymore.
Did he try to fire it again?
Yes, he was still, with his left hand, he had the gun in his right hand, he was trying to pull it around, and I could tell that he was still trying to snap the pistol. But Mr. Graves had it in such a manner that he couldn't fire it anymore.
Did you speak to the victim on the ground?
Yes, I immediately picked him up then with another officer, I don't remember who that was, and carried him back inside the jail office to get him away from the area. And I tried to talk to him and ask him if he could hear me and if he understood me. He never did answer me, and his eyes were partially closed.
How,
as far as I know, he never regained consciousness.
How has this affected the morale, the spirit of the police force?
Well, I think that I can probably speak for all the officers here. That I've heard many of them comment on it, and I think that they all feel very deeply about it. They regret the incident happening. We regret the shooting that occurred to the president on Friday, and certainly this hasn't helped their feelings any at all. Mr. Ruby didn't better our cause any by shooting Oswald.
Did you recognize him when he came through?
Yes, I have known Jack Ruby for a number of years, and I recognized him just as soon as he emerged from the crowd.
But even if you knew he was coming, you say you didn't have the time to react to prevent it.
He was so close from the human wall of flesh of reporters there that it would have been impossible to have stopped him.
Thank you very much, Detective. The story of what happened when Lee Harvey Oswald was killed this morning. This is Bill Lord reporting from the Dallas Police Station. This is Detective Jim Leavelle. Jim was handcuffed to Oswald when he was shot yesterday. I understand you were also involved in a successful transfer today.
Yes, sir. We transferred Jack Rubin to the county jail this morning. The same officers were beside him this morning that was with Oswald. We moved him without incident. We took him out and put him in a car without any previous publicity, and transferred him to the county jail, and at this time he is in the county jail in a cell.
How did you handle him as you came out of the elevator?
We had him escorted between two officers, had him to stoop over, and when we got him into the back of the squad car, we had him to lay down so that he wouldn't be seen from the rear or the front.
You consider this a good policy to have followed?
In this particular case or the other one?
In this case?
In this case, yes. We think it works, so if anything, you can't argue with success.
Fine, thank you very much, sir. This is Bill Lord reporting from the Dallas.